My 26 female mom passed away in December. It was hard for me to process what happened. I have to say, me and my mom had a lot of issues between us. There's so much that I couldn't say to her, and I'm struggling with grief. My dad is deceased. My mom was my remaining parent, and growing up, I had many issues with her. I went no contact with her several times. Then I reconnected with her. Then we get into an argument again, and the same thing happened. I feel bad for not trying to fix the situation. I keep getting shamed by family members, asking if I'm happy now that my mom is gone. But how can someone be happy when their mother passes away? I'm a mess. Plus, I'm 5 months pregnant and it's been difficult. I started therapy 2 weeks ago. It's online therapy. I go into the bedroom and I have my session with my therapist. I asked my husband not to come into the room or interrupt after he insisted he wanted to be in the room but wasn't allowed. He then started coming in several times, just barging in, bringing me coffee or water, but I know it's a way for him to hear something. I got annoyed. I told him he was causing me so much stress, and he stopped coming into the room. 2 days later, my husband stopped asking me questions all of a sudden, stopped insisting on being in the room, stopped interrupting my sessions. I thought he finally got it. But yesterday, as I was doing some cleaning, I heard my own voice coming from the bedroom. I was puzzled. I walked into the bedroom and found my husband with his phone on his ear, listening to my voice. I then realized that he recorded my voice during my therapy session and was playing the recording. I asked him. He said it was nothing. Then he admitted it was a recording of my therapy session. I lost it. I blew up and I started yelling at him. He told me to calm down. It was no big deal, and that he was just curious to know and also wanted to figure out what my problem is and maybe help out. I told him it wasn't his place, and just because we're married doesn't mean he can disrespect me and be inconsiderate of my feelings. This is a very important thing to me, and he kept saying, "I'm sorry, but I just couldn't help it." I was infuriated. There were things between my mom and I that I find hard to talk about, and I found what he did disrespectful. I walked out, and he kept saying I overreacted and that he's not a stranger, he's my husband. I went to stay with my sister, who said I was harsh on him and shouldn't have reacted this way. He apologized and said he already deleted it. Even said I could take a few days to stay with my sister to calm down after he saw how much I was mad. I should mention that he mentioned several times that he was worried about me because I haven't been talking to him much. And I understand he was worried, but that is not an excuse. You are not wrong here. Did I read that right? He recorded your therapy? Holy balls. Make sure you get a recording of him admitting to this so you can use it against him in your upcoming divorce. I am so sorry this happened to you. That's an extreme violation of your privacy. Everything about this is creepy and manipulative. The fact that he didn't properly apologize or admit to doing anything wrong is genuinely horrifying. You are not wrong. Your husband is a massive idiot, though. What got to me was when he kept repeating, "I'm sorry, but I just couldn't help it." A version of those words were said to me by my ex-husband. When I had finally had enough of his emotionally hurting behavior, I told him I wanted a divorce. He has just shown you exactly who he is. He has no respect for you. His claim that he wants to help you is a lie. He wants to know what makes you tick, so he can use that information to manipulate you in the future. A true partner does not disregard the other's boundaries, does not surreptitiously record a private conversation, and most importantly, he wasn't planning on being caught. This man is giving you a clear picture of what the future holds should you stay. It took me 13 years to leave my ex. Please don't waste your life looking over your shoulder at what the next thing your husband will do. You are not wrong. Find somewhere to stay with someone who will back you up that this is a hideous violation of the privacy that you should be able to expect in therapy and reveals some deep, ugly things about your husband. If he truly can't resist the compulsion to interfere, then he needs to see a therapist to figure out why he can't handle not being involved in everything, or why he's so scared you might say negative things about him, or whatever's going on. But odds are, he's perfectly capable of making choices that respect you and just doesn't want to. I have 4 children, daughters 19, 21, 24, and a son, 27. My youngest daughter recently moved back in with us after a rough breakup with her boyfriend, and 2 weeks ago, she went into labor despite never knowing she was pregnant. Originally, I sent her to bed when she was claiming of stomach pains, but quickly realized what exactly was happening and got her to the hospital. It was traumatic for all of us, but especially her. The entire pregnancy, she had been on birth control and was terrified she'd somehow hurt her baby, and she had been cutting down calories because she'd been gaining weight. It was a long 20 hours, and at the end of it, I had my first granddaughter. She seems fine if a little small, and has been home for a little over a week. My husband and I did some shopping for her, but we didn't have the funds to buy everything right then and there. My other daughter, 24, is currently 6 months pregnant, and we had bought her many things for her baby. We have all the large furniture at our house, as her husband hasn't been around to collect it. Naturally, I just opened said furniture, namely the car seat for the new baby, and plans on replacing it before my grandson is born. My daughter found out quite quickly and is distraught, claiming we were replacing her baby before he was even born. I tried explaining that this was a huge surprise and we had to use what was on hand. She won't have it and is only talking to my husband, who is trying his best to support everyone. I've promised to replace everything that has been opened, but it's not good enough for her. I'm not sure what she wants me to do. Arguably, my granddaughter needs the things more than my unborn grandson, and I'm not going to pick him over a baby that needs the things right now. My husband thinks we should have kept our grandson's things and just picked up the cheap, temporary furniture for the new baby. I disagree, but over time, I've become a little unsure. Was I in the wrong? A little edit. 24-year-old daughter is also angry because my youngest daughter stole the baby name she wanted to use for a future daughter, which I find a bit nasty. The baby's name is Queenie, which is the name of my nan, who played a huge part in my girls' lives before she passed away a few years ago. I understand that she's upset because she wanted to pay respects, but a name is a name. We have many other important female figures in our family. You are not wrong here, and also I'm concerned by your 24-year-old daughter's lack of empathy because she's being replaced? What does that even mean anyway? Your 19-year-old daughter has just given birth. She needs help and support, not an older sister having a tantrum saying you can't have that, it's mine. It's stuff, and it will be replaced, and you had to do what you had to do. You are not the idiot. What a shock for everyone. And it really makes practical sense to use what you have on hand, then replace with equal items as you can. Could your older daughter be a bit miffed that she's not having the first grandchild now, and that the spotlight has been taken away a little? I know pregnancy does funny things to your brain. Hopefully she'll get over it and see how gracious and generous you've been. Also, it's really great when you're a kid and have a cousin that's a similar age. She'll come around. Oh wow, there's a lot to unpack here. Firstly, you are not the idiot here. This was a complete surprise. Of course you were going to use something you had on hand for the new baby. Secondly, your older daughter being mad about it when you said you'd replace it is ludicrous. She doesn't need those things at the moment, and they will be replaced. Thirdly, your younger daughter is totally the idiot for naming her baby what your sister had already planned. That is just mean. Also, I will never understand how someone can be so out of touch with their body to not know they are pregnant, or even to just suspect it. Disclaimer, this happened a year ago. My mother-in-law has some issues. I really don't know what is wrong with her, and father-in-law handles her like a pro, so I just mind my own business. She was very upset at our wedding and said she didn't want to be in the pictures because we don't treat her like family. I said that was fine and I hope she felt better. Mother-in-law didn't know many people at the wedding, so she hung out in the area we were taking pictures and just cried silently, and father-in-law would go over and comfort her in between pictures. The photographer, we'll call him Brian, was a friend of my brother's and a student who we got very cheap. He has an assistant with him who was also a college student. Brian clearly had some type of thing for mother-in-law. Okay, she is gorgeous, and people look, but he still has a job to do. Brian ended up asking why she was crying and saying she was too pretty to cry and he would love to shoot her. She ended up getting in one family photo. He asked if she used to model, At this point, I'm wondering if he knew who she was because she did model and she was very successful. Mother-in-law was eating it up and all smiles. He started flirting with her to the point that father-in-law was getting mad, and he asked if she wanted some pictures of just her because she looked so good. Brian and mother-in-law ended up going off for hours and doing a full-on photo shoot. So either he had a boner or he saw the opportunity to get someone with a lot of modeling experience and not pay her. He left his assistant to take my photos, and they are clearly not professional quality. I left a very bad review and accused him of putting his intimate attraction over his job. And I posted a revealing picture of mother-in-law that he took in her hotel room and asked if it looked like a wedding picture. Now, he did have mother-in-law's permission to put that on his website, but she got mad and said I humiliated her. I did bring up that she is unstable, and he took advantage. Mother-in-law called me crying and said I publicly made fun of her mental health problems. She does have anxiety, but I think her real issue is just being spoiled. And Brian cussed me out and said a review like that is going to really hurt him when he is so new to his career. The family is still divided a year later. You are all idiots here. First, you shouldn't have posted the picture, and it's awful to say anything about her mental problems online. Second, don't cheap out on important stuff and do your research. I hate when people expect super quality at super cheap prices. It's you get what you pay for. Your photographer is totally at fault for his trash work ethic and deserves to be called out for checking out early to photo someone else who wasn't even a customer on your dime. He should not be paid, and if he got paid up front, sue him for that back. Your mother-in-law shouldn't have screwed over your wedding by letting the photographer go off without taking all the required photos. Also, if I was the father-in-law, I would be so ticked off because I doubt he was around for the photo shoot, even if some intimacy didn't happen. You are the idiot for putting your mother-in-law's photo on the review. That was a super nasty thing to do. You could have written a review without attaching the photo. It's a huge invasion of privacy, despite the fact that since you paid for it, you probably own at least some of the rights to it, and you could have dealt with your mother-in-law's actions privately with her if you wanted to address that. Wow, I can't imagine why your mother-in-law has issues with you. You are all idiots here. Be a grown-up. You should have spoken to the photographer in the moment instead of letting his college assistant take over your wedding photography and then shaming him and your mother-in-law afterward on social media. My female 31, boyfriend 35, has a Facebook page that advertises his products and service as a doctor for healing with essential oils or natural plant extracts. He's been doing this for 15 years and thinks that he's a doctor, like a certified doctor, although he's never attended medical school nor has a degree or specialty. He always gets upset when I correct him and tell people he's not a certified doctor. He made it clear to not get involved in his job and thinks I'm actually an ignorant. The thing is, he writes and types doctor, boyfriend's name, when he deals with customers or patients. Last week, someone contacted him on Facebook, but couldn't get a response, so he contacted me because I was mentioned on his profile. He asked if Dr. boyfriend's name was available. I corrected him and said that my boyfriend is not a doctor, and no, he won't be available till Monday, and I just forgot about it. My boyfriend was checking his page this morning, and he came into the kitchen with his laptop, yelling at me for correcting a client of his who he knew for months and telling them that he wasn't a doctor. He told me I had no business snooping on his public page and trying to ruin his business and reputation out of jealousy, clearly. I ignored him, but he threw a temper tantrum, telling me for the last time to mind my own business. I told him that it's the truth and that what he's doing is wrong, lying by saying he's a doctor when he doesn't have a degree, and that eventually he'll get into trouble and his job will be ruined. He said he's been doing it for 15 years, and the only way his job will get ruined is if I keep trying to get involved. He lectured me for about 30 minutes, then went out. I felt bad for upsetting him like that. I do feel like I was an idiot for constantly doing this, but it really looks like he shouldn't be making people think he's a doctor. Was I an idiot? I gotta admit, I'm ignorant when it comes to this stuff, but I do know that to be a doctor, you have to get a degree of some sort. You are not the idiot. He's committing fraud. Specifically, he is fraudulently claiming medical qualifications he does not have to scam sick people out of their money in exchange for crap treatments that will not help them. Not only were you right to tell your boyfriend and his victim he was not a doctor, you should report him to the authorities. Doctor is a protected title. You cannot just claim it. That is a crime, and you need to report that crime before he scams any more people. And why are you still with this man? He's committing fraud to get money out of people and shouts at you and gaslights you for pointing that out. You are not the idiot. What he's doing is illegal. He's committing fraud. He's endangering people. That's why he's mad at you. You're highlighting the fact that he could end up in jail, or at least ruined once he gets sued. You want to plan a life together with that in mind? Girl, this guy's a con artist, scamming people in relation to their health. That's the worst of the worst. Could you live with yourself if you don't report him and he ends up killing someone? You are both idiots. He's a dangerous criminal, preying on the vulnerable, and you're enabling him. Leave. Report him. If you don't, you're every bit as much of an idiot and an accomplice to his crimes. My son is 20 and a sophomore in college. He currently lives there in an apartment, but does not have his car there. He has left his car at home, but is adamant that nobody use it. My daughter's birthday is in October. She went and got her driver's license a few weeks after. She passed the test with no problems, though I'll admit she struggled at times when she drove with me. Her best friend lives in the same subdivision as us, a 4-minute drive, half a mile away. There's no traffic or stoplights involved when driving to her friend's house. Well, she really wanted to drive herself there the day she got her license. I had some errands to run, so I let her take my son's car. And well, I watched her pull out of our driveway and completely clip the side of the car against our brick mailbox. The right front headlight was smashed, and the bumper had a pretty bad dent and scrapes. My son has a pretty bad temper, and I was terrified about how he'd react. Daughter is very quiet and sensitive, and I know my son would probably dish out enough insults to her to put her in therapy. Not knowing what to do, I called my mom to see if she'd pay to get it fixed. She was the one who bought him the car. After she told me she would, I kind of forgot about it. Son came home from school a week before I expected him to, and the car wasn't sent to be repaired yet. I don't want to get into the reaction too much, but he was not very happy. He was furious at both me and his sister. He tore into her really bad, making her cry. I recently was finally able to put a stop to him calling her a retard. This has been a problem for years, ever since daughter showed signs of social awkwardness, but I finally got him to stop as of last year. But after this, he kept sarcastically gloating that he was right and his sister is stupid. He said he was taking all of his valuables out of our home because he obviously can't trust me with anything of his. My mom paid for the car to be fixed, but son is insisting his sister or I pay mom back for the damages, since it was our fault and we are getting off without consequences. I know I was wrong to lend her the car, but I tried to hide it from him, only to protect my daughter. Was I wrong? You are so wrong. I'm not entirely sure why you wouldn't be. I get protecting your daughter from what he says, but if you're that worried about his temper, why let your young daughter, who's a new driver that sometimes struggle, drive his car? No forethought in this. How could you possibly think that you aren't the idiot? Did you read what you wrote? You are the idiot for letting your daughter use a car that doesn't belong to her. Second time idiot for not informing him that she damaged the car. And third time idiot for even considering not paying for the damage. Not only do you owe an apology and the money, you should make your daughter pay you back. You are also the idiot for allowing your son to use nasty names against his sister. You should have shut down his bullying years ago. You let it become an established behavior, but you are surprised? I have no idea what you've done or failed to do with respect to your daughter's social development, but protecting her from consequences of her own actions isn't good parenting. Consider getting some therapy to understand and change your enabling behavior. You can still fix some of this.